Hi, welcome back to Tarot Down Under. This is going to be part 2 of my readings on Jared Kushner. So, preparing for this reading, I was thinking there's really 3 strands to this story of Jared Kushner. And the first strand is his real estate dealings, his Kushner family real estate dealings. And as we all know, he paid way too much for 666 Fifth Avenue, and that becomes due about this time next year, and he's got no way of paying it. We know this because the American banks have walked away from both the Kushners and the Trumps. So he then went to the Chinese, who said, "You've got to be joking," even though Kushner's sister promised, corruptly, promised green cards to people who would invest in Kushner as a business. So he then went to the Russians, and investigative journalists, and I'm sure now Muller, know the story of how that went. So that's the first strand. The second strand is the Muller investigation into his behaviour while a senior campaign organiser. Now, we know he was given the job of revamping the IT for the entire federal government, and that ended when all the IT specialists that he called to be on hand walked away. So he obviously isn't that good at pulling off any of these big gigs. So the second strand is looking at collusion with Russia and what happened during the campaign. And the third strand is the Middle East. So by wading into the Middle East and his extraordinary friendship with the new Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, he seems to have managed to send the entire region into a death roll. So I thought I'm going to do this reading in 3 small parts. So, Jared, what is happening? The first part I'm going to shuffle separately for each row here. The first part is Jared's real estate dealings. What's happening with Kushner's real estate? Kushner's real estate. Kushner's real estate. Let's see. Okay. With this, the first card off the rank, Justice. In the overall context of everything that's happening in the US, and particularly with Jared Kushner, this is his first card in relation to the real estate. So he is looking at deep investigations, which we know via Muller. So he would be profoundly nervous, I would say, at this stage in relation to his real estate dealings as much as his campaign dealings. The second card, we've seen this come up for them before, the Trumpettes and the Kushners conflict, but in this case it's the feeling that one person is fighting everyone else. He feels put upon. He has to be the one out there fighting for his right to be a megalomaniac. Not content with being a slumlord, he thought he could go and just get hundreds of millions. In fact, the whole conversation is being talked about in proportions of billions. It's $500 million here and $750 million there. We're talking huge sums of money. But he sees himself as having to fight the fight. And he does. The third in this row, the Knight of Cups. Now, as we are aware, cups are about emotions and perception. But in terms of this figure proffering the cup, it's often associated with an arrival of somebody new or being offered an opportunity. So he might be offered an opportunity by Muller to escape some degree of justice in relation to his personal dealings if he comes clean about the dirt on the campaign. It's just my immediate thoughts on that interpretation. So for Jared now, we're looking at the campaign, his role in the campaign, and Mueller. So Jared's role in the campaign and the Mueller investigation. Jared in the campaign and Mueller. Jared's campaign and Mueller. Right, the first card he gets in this row is the Queen of Pentacles. Remembering Pentacles representing money, the Queen of Pentacles, an older woman. It may possibly be Ivanka, but she often comes up as the Empress, and I think it's older than Ivanka. It might be his own mother, or it was certainly a woman who was very influential on his attitude to money in his early life. So it's a mother figure. It may be his mother, it might have been an auntie, but someone in his life was very instrumental in gearing him up to ideas of money and power. The second card, which relates very closely to this, they're both wands or staffs. Hard work, pushing things uphill. I think in terms of work, this means it's hard work getting people to believe him anymore. He has all these wands, if you like, irons in the fire. He's desperate to be believed because apart from anything else, if he doesn't get out of all this, his children are going to see him possibly go to jail or certainly lose his reputation. And that's exactly what happened to Kushner himself. He was 25, I think, when his own father went to jail. So he's working very hard, I think, on trying to be believed or trying to make a deal with Mueller. Why I think that also, Page of Swords. Swords being intellect, ideas, but also the energy to fight through. So these are fighting cards. He comes across as very passive, and it might be suggesting the fighting is done in a legal way that's not so obvious to us behind the scenes. But this is a young person who couldn't be told. In other words, people would have advised him. I'm sure he had accountants, even if they were bent, who would have said, you're overstretching with this real estate stuff, be careful in the campaign. But he didn't heed that. That's why he was prepared to take on all these ridiculous roles, and he was obviously ill-equipped to handle any of them. So he's very much the Page of Swords. It's a very patriarchal figure in that way, not thinking about the repercussions, just going forth, sword in hand. He probably thought he could sort of mastermind a whole new technology for the federal government. Who knows? But he was certainly instrumental in the processing behind the scenes, digital information. How was the election compromised? Through digital communications. So Mueller would by this stage know exactly to what extent Jared intervened and made it easier for the Russians to target certain groups of people. The analytics behind the scene. He, of course, is not an immense brain, but I'm sure when you have that much money, you can employ people to do your thinking for you. And I think that's what happened during the campaign. The third strand of this for Jared is the Middle East. It's been a volatile region for many, many, many years, And you may or may not agree with moving the embassy to Jerusalem. But I'm more interested in a way with how this will play out in the most general sense. I will do other readings on his relationship with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. But I'm more interested in how he sees his role in the Middle East. Success. The question was, how does he see his role? Success. So he is being celebrated, of course, in Israel and for many people in the United States, including the evangelicals. This is seen as a huge promise to be kept, that Jerusalem will be returned. So we will see how this plays out. Okay. The Magician. In a way, this whole Middle Eastern action, if you like, I think is a foil for these other two areas of his life that are horribly compromised. So his own real estate dealings, his work with the campaign. Now he sees himself as the magician. He can turn all that around by pulling off this coup in the Middle East. Oh, sorry, Jared, this isn't going to work. So the Middle East, I mean, how can it not go up in flames now? How can it not have started another 3 generations of horror in the Middle East, despite what he thinks, which is a success, and he's such a powerful magician, he can pull it off. It's a disaster for the region and a disaster for the world. Very sad. I would also go as far as to say this could possibly be his relationship, not with Ivanka, but with the Crown Prince. So I'm now going to just pull 3 cards to finish this reading. How it's going to play out. So in terms of his own real estate dealings, greedy, insatiably greedy man, more of the same. He has an endless capacity for greed. It's never enough. And emotionally, he's quite isolated. So the cups, the emotions, the perceptions are behind him. He's not reacting to those. He's just looking forward to making more money. The second one in the campaign, walking away. So that could mean many things, obviously. Every reader has their interpretation. Walking away, he may get away with it. It could mean that he gets to walk away from this. But I think what is more likely to happen is revealed in this third card, which is the Wheel of Fortune. With all the major players and all the readings that I'm sure you guys have seen on other channels and stuff, the people who are involved in the front row of the Trump administration, this is very much their karmic role, if you like. So this is the card of karma, the card of destiny. So tantalizingly, I'm going to leave this reading, and it basically says he'll get what's coming to him. Let's see. All right, thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.